Equivalent fractions, using number lines and then our fraction knowledge to work with equivalent fractions. We've learned how to represent and understand fractions in different formats. Now we will revisit equivalent fractions. Here we have 3/4. We know on a number line, quarters are 4 equal parts, and 3/4 is there. But what if we want to know the fraction as out of 20 equal parts? To work this out, we need to think about how quarters and 20ths are related. We know 4 times 5 is 20. So to make 20ths, we need to multiply our quarters by 5. Remember, whilst we use multiplication, we aren't actually changing the value of the fraction, just how many parts there are when we represent it. So to get 20ths, we multiply by 5, which means each of our quarters will have 5 20ths, like this. So 1/4 is 5 20ths, 2/4 is 10 20ths, and 3/4 is 3 lots of 5, which is 15 20ths. So you can see 3/4 is the same as 15 20ths. We didn't change where it is on the number line, we just separated the number line into smaller parts to show an equivalent fraction. Let's try another example. Here is our number line. An 1/8 looks like this, 8 equal parts. 7/8 is there. Now, we want to find an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 24. The tricky part is to think about how 8ths and 24ths can be related. 8 times 3 is 24, so we can multiply our 8ths by 3 to get 24 equal parts. This means each of our 8ths will be 3 24ths. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and 7 lots of 3 is 21 24ths. So 21 24ths is equivalent to 7/8. Keep using a number line to help you keep track until you really understand the maths to do it without the number line to help. Let's look at another one. This time we will try to solve it without the number line. We want to know an equivalent fraction with 100 as the denominator. We need to think about how 5 and 100 are related. We know 5 lots of 20 equals 100. If you don't know how they are related, you could put into your calculator 100 divided by 5 to get your answer. So now we know that to get hundredths, we multiply our fifths by 20. So we know each of our fifths will be 20 hundredths, which makes for 4 80 hundredths altogether, because 4 times 20 is 80. So 4 fifths is equivalent to 81 hundredths. Now let's look at how to use this strategy for solving problems. Remember, in the ordering fractions video, we talked about a method that just uses the numbers. Let's try it now. Here we have 3 fractions, and we want to put them in order from smallest to largest. We need to think about the denominators and how we can relate them to each other. We know 25 multiplied by 4 is 100, and 5 times 20 is 100, so we can use 100 as our denominator. This fraction is already out of 100, so we don't need to do anything to it. For 23 25ths, we know 25 multiplied by 4 is 100, so we can think about 23 multiplied by 4 for our numerator. When we do this calculation, we can see that 92 hundredths is the same as 23 25ths. This is larger than 85 hundredths. Next, for 4 fifths, we multiply 5 by 20 to get 100. So we can multiply our 4 by 20 to get our numerator. So 4 fifths is equivalent to 80 hundredths. So this one is the smallest. Because they are all looking at equivalent fractions out of 100, we can see that 4 fifths is the smallest, followed by 85 hundredths, and then 23/25 is the largest. Remember, we don't change the value, just how many equal parts make up the fraction. Understanding fractions and knowing how to rewrite them as equivalent fractions is important for working flexibly with any fraction.